Pixar is a unique reality. What do you think makes it so special in comparison to other studios?
Well, I think we just have a lot of really special people working there. I mean, it's amazing how sometimes a group of people get together and they feed off each other and they just influence each other. And I think that we're just fortunate that we have some pretty smart people working there. Quite frankly, I think that we are essentially continuing Walt Disney's tradition of telling compelling stories in an entertaining way.
Could you tell us something about your experience as production designer? What does this role entail in an animated movie production?
I've been an art director. I'm actually technically an art director, but I've production designed quite a few projects. And the difference is that a production designer is concerned with the whole look of the product. So basically, whether it's characters, lighting, environments, the whole host of different parts of the production. Whereas art director, the way we've structured it at Pixar, is kind of concerned with a particular segment. For example, character art director, environment art director, or shading art director. And usually, a production designer would have art directors working under him, or in cooperation with him or her. And the role actually of production designer is much more comprehensive, And but essentially, we do support the story. I mean, the story is king at Pixar, and everything we do, it's not independent. It's not just art for its own sake. It's another means of contributing to the storytelling.
In the making of an animation movie, from the management point of view, how big are the investments, both in terms of money and human resources?
Well, I mean, these things cost money, I suppose. I mean, we don't. We all, make a pretty good living. It's not. But I don't deal with money necessarily. That's not my part. The only budgets that I make is, something we call man weeks and hours, and how many hours or weeks or days will take one person to complete the task, for example. And that's the only way I budget things. But these are pretty substantial projects, so they do take time, and time is money. So I'm imagining that our budgets are pretty substantial.
When you work on a project, how much does the final version of the project distance itself from the original idea?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So basically, we sometimes it basically stays pretty close, but sometimes it evolves tremendously. Like, there's I think we are seeing WALL-E today, and I mean, WALL-E was a very different film in the very beginning. It was, we had something, I think, Alien King and Queen, and so, I mean, essentially, in many ways, it became unrecognizable towards the end. But that's the beauty of, working at Pixar, is that, the people that work there, we're not, until we're really happy with something, until we're satisfied and it works really well, and we wouldn't be afraid to put our name under it, we just don't let it go. We keep changing it and making it better. And I think that I heard John Lasseter before said his quote that we don't really finish our films, we just release them, because if you leave it up to us, we'll just keep perfecting them forever. And at some point, you just have to stop changing and stop improving it and just let it go.
Among all the movies you have worked on, has there been one which you have found particularly gratifying from a professional point of view?
Well, I don't think I can point towards one film. I mean, it's every film has its different challenges and different. It has different pluses and minuses, and as far as experiences go. The last thing that I just finished, Toy Story: A Time Forgot, that I think we're seeing it tonight, was particularly gratifying for me personally, because it incorporated everything that I liked about Pixar, and it was the whole film was done in a tremendous climate of cooperation, but also interdepartmental cooperation, but also excitement, because everybody was really excited to work on it. A lot of the artists that I work with grew up with action figures, and given the chance to create a whole new world of new different action figures, of course, was exciting for them. So the level of excitement, the level of desire to succeed was really high, and it was really enjoyable experience. And the director, Steve Purcell, was complete joy to work with because of just his style. He's very kind of a generous and laid back, and in the same time, he knows what he wants. So it was really interesting, and it was a great experience.
What do you think are the main differences between European animation and US animation?
Well, I'm not an expert in European animation, even though I am European. I grew up professionally in the US, so the essential difference is that we in the US, in our industry in the US, we don't differentiate between commercial art and regular art. I mean, our art basically is art, and we don't look at it this way, I mean, just because a particular art form is geared towards profit and making money doesn't make it less legitimate as an art form. We are individuals, and there is no, I don't believe in such a big group difference mentalities.
What do you think is the purpose of animated movies in relation to their audience?
I believe that the animated movies, and just like any other art form, is geared towards the audience. I mean, it's not a self-indulging art form. In the same time, I think you do want to tell the stories that you want to tell. I mean, you don't want to just spend your time wondering what the audience would want to see, right? I mean, so it's this fine balance between telling the story that you want to tell, and but not in a self-indulging way without particularly worrying about anybody else, And so I think it's a balance. It's not either or.
Could you tell us something about Idea Academy and your role with this new visual entertainment school?
Yeah, well, so I met these really great guys, and we have this partnership now. I'm helping them with putting their curriculum together, and hopefully I'll be teaching some online classes or in-person classes in the future, starting this fall, I think. And it's really interesting when people come to this meeting of minds, where one of the first conversations I had with my partners, Andrea and Paolo, is that it was about that. It was about bridging the gap between the idea of real art and the idea of commercial art here in the U.S. in Europe. And I think they're very dedicated into helping Italy, Europe in general, but Italy in particular, get more kind of a little bit more substantial and potent industry of animation and gaming. And I don't mind helping them with this. It's a noble task, and I think that it's giving me a chance to travel to Europe more often, which is great for me. I enjoy it.
Thank you very much.